Hopefully Chief gave you a donut or whatever, to at least they've got that back.
It's Friday.
And we're plotting an overthrow.
Oh, that's not too hard.
Yeah, not too hard.
They would go right over my head anyways.
Take it.
Okay, we are back into our public open meeting. With that, I would like to make a motion that we delegate authority to Administrator Waite to continue negotiations for a maintenance agreement and pursue the closing documents for well one. That'd be sufficient.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, your authority. Before we move on with the regular agenda, does council have any of the consent agenda to pull out for regular discussion? Council, start with Councilor Michelle.
No.
Councilor Young,
I do not.
Councilor Steiner,
I do not.
Councilor Zani. No, we'll keep it the way it is. Wonderful. The first thing on our docket is going to be a public hearing. So the public hearing will be for LA, is that LA? Yeah, LA 2024 -02, a legislative amendment initiated by Hubbard City Council. Motion to adopt an updated economic opportunities analysis, EOA, and a buildable employment land inventory, BLI, as amendments to the Hubbard Comprehensive Plan. So with that, we're going to go into a public hearing. So I, being the mayor, good evening. My name is Charles Rostizel. I am the mayor of the city of Hubbard, and I will be presiding over this hearing. This is the time and place set for a public hearing in the matter of legislative amendment LA 2024-02, updated economic opportunities analysis, EOA, and buildable land inventory, BLI. The hearing is now open. It is 6:38 p.m. Oregon land use law requires several items be read into the record at the beginning of every public hearing. The city planner will review this material. Your patience is appreciated as she goes through these statements. And with that, do we have, Mrs. Brian? Yeah, there you are.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, here is the legal script for you folks. The applicable substantive criteria upon which this case will be decided are found in the Hubbard Development Code, the City of Hubbard Comprehensive Plan, and the Oregon Statewide Planning Goals. The specific criteria are summarized in the staff report and will be reviewed at this hearing. All testimony and evidence received during this public hearing must be directed toward these approval criteria or to such other rule, law, regulation, or policy which you believe applies to this case. An issue which may be the basis for an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals shall be raised no later than the close of the record of the final evidentiary hearing on this case. Such issues shall be raised with and accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford this body and the parties to this hearing an adequate opportunity to respond to each issue. This public hearing will proceed with the staff report and any other comments from governmental agencies in attendance, followed by all those in support of the code amendments. All those opposed to the code amendments will then be allowed to speak, followed by those with general comments who are neither for nor against the amendments. All speakers should try to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Please ensure that staff have your name and mailing address for the record before you give your comments. Please try to avoid repetition. If someone else has already expressed the same thoughts, it's perfectly all right to state that you agree with the statements of that previous speaker. Please be assured that everyone will have an opportunity to speak. If you have documents, maps, or letters that you wish to have considered by this body, they must be formally placed in the record of this proceeding. To do that, either before or after you speak, please submit the materials to city staff. Thank you.
Okay, with that out of the way, I need to ask the audience and council a few questions. I need to ask if there is any objections to the notice that was published. No audience, so it's kind of easy answer. Do we have anyone online?
Yeah, there are some people online.
Do we have anyone online who has objections to the notice that was published? We have someone who wants to speak.
I'm thinking it's enough.
Okay, I'll leave it as that. Are there any declarations of bias by any member of this body? And this would be the council.
I have none.
That is in the negative. Are there any declarations of conflict by any member of this body? Again, this would be for the council. Okay. I have none. So with that, City Planner Holly Brown, please give the staff report.
Okay. For the record, my name is Holly Byram, and I work for the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. Serving as the contract city planner, my goal this evening is to assist the City Council in understanding the applicable criteria for this legislative amendment. So this is legislative amendment file LA 2024-02. This is a package of material that the City Council is proposing to adopt as an addendum to their comprehensive plan. And these attachments specifically are an economic opportunities analysis, also known as an EOA, and a buildable land inventory, a BLI. As the council is familiar, these are very necessary steps toward a future UGB expansion with the goal of maintaining at least a 20-year land supply for local economic growth. So what you have in front of you this evening, you have a staff report of findings, you have the buildable land inventory memo, and then you have the economic opportunities analysis. That EOA is prepared by Johnson Economics, and Jerry is with us this evening, and you will hear from him shortly. I just wanted to touch on a few important points on those other two documents briefly. So as the council is familiar, legislative amendment is a type 4 action, and that type of action requires that we have a public hearing at both the Planning Commission level and the City Council level. The Planning Commission held their hearing on December 10th, and at the close of that hearing, they voted unanimously to recommend the City Council approve and adopt the materials in front of you this evening. The City Council will remember that you did have a joint work session with the Planning Commission back in June when you saw the drafts of these materials. What has changed since that time is staff has made minor revisions in response to comments that we've received from the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development, or DLCD. I'll get into those revisions shortly. Included in the staff report findings are some responses to some of the standards, the goals, the policies that you have in your existing comprehensive plan, which is determined to be consistent with the statewide planning goals. Specifically, Goal 9 is your economic development goal. Briefly, the Hubbard Comprehensive Plan talks about the importance of maintaining adequate acreage to accommodate future industrial and commercial growth and providing for a variety of businesses in those sectors. In terms of the Oregon statewide planning goals, briefly, goals 1 and 2 talk about procedures, the types of notices that we publish in the paper, and the way that the public can participate in these hearings. And then Goal 9 is really the most critical component there. And so you'll see findings in response to those goals. In the BLI specifically, and so we're transitioning to the BLI memo. The buildable land inventory, the purpose of this document is to use GIS technologies or our mapping technologies to understand the employment lands that the City of Hubbard already has within their city limits and urban growth boundary, and to identify whether that is going to continue to serve you sufficiently for the next 20 years. The procedures for doing this mapping exercise are found in the Oregon Administrative Rules, or the OAR, specifically chapters 9 and 24. And that's all laid out in your memo. The steps that we take, we first identify all the employment lands. That includes all of your commercially zoned lands and all of your industrial lands. We identify those on the map. We then take out any sites that are developed or are being used by existing industrial businesses, such as a storage yard. We then remove constrained lands that have either steep slopes or in a riparian area or a wetlands area. And then we identify how many acres are remaining and available for future development. What you'll see in this revised memo is that you have very little available employment land for your community's economic growth. Specifically, you can see on the bottom of page, I believe that's 5, a total of 8.43 acres, and those are divided between commercial and industrial zones. That is not many acres available. Those are divided into 8 different properties. What I also want to call your attention to is that those properties are divided further in the next table too by size. The biggest takeaway here for you folks this evening is that Hubbard does not have any available employment land, any sites over 5 acres in size. So it's important for you to understand that when you have companies contacting City Hall looking to grow or relocate in Hubbard, you don't have a lot of options available for them, especially if they're looking for sites over 5 acres. Okay, those are the biggest takeaways of the BLI. And then from here, I will pass the baton to Jerry Johnson, and he will talk about his piece, the EOA, and the conclusions of that document.
Right. Thanks, Holly. So I've talked to you several times about this over the past, and a lot of the stuff that we have done has not really changed. As Holly mentioned to you, well, as we mentioned in our report, you basically have had a very robust growth pattern. In Hubbard, you've got an enviable mix of industries, particularly industrial industries, growing at a time when a lot of the region is having difficulty growing. The primary challenge you have moving forward is a land supply issue. You have nowhere near, even if you could not sustain your recent pace of growth over the last 10 years, because you would be out of land relatively quickly, and you have no sites over 5 acres, which would be expected for industrial lands that you have less than 5 acres in total. So land constraints are going to be a big issue for you. The issue with this report is it identifies and it clarifies the fact that you need additional lands, both industrial and commercial, to meet your 20-year demand, your 20-year needs. The problem with that is then the land use system requires you to do something about that, and it's an expensive process to get into. And I believe the next stages are probably looking for grants to fund these sorts of pieces, because you've got to go through what's a Goal 14 process where you identify alternatives of where the urban growth boundary could be moved, how you can increase efficient use of your existing land within the urban growth boundary. There's a lot of process to go through there. But it may take a little bit of time to do it. And even if you had the money today, it still takes a while to do this. It's a process, but it's something we would highly recommend the city go forward with when possible, because economic growth and our outreach has been something that the city's been happy with, and the technical advisory committee that we put together and advisory committees wanted to support, but basically you have a problem with capacity. You don't have adequate land to actually accommodate the growth we'd anticipate as possible in the area. Another thing we had with this is maybe a separate issue, Holly. Are we going to be talking about the regional economic development strategy a little bit later with this?
Yeah, outside of the public hearing.
Okay, outside of the public hearing. Okay, good. Because Brendan's on here to talk about that. That's less of me. So yes, for the thing we're very supportive, obviously, of adoption of this. I think adoption is a step you need to take, because then you basically have a public recognition that you have a need and an issue. It will help you on the grant applications, because it puts you in a spot where DLCD will recognize that there's a next step there. Fortunately, at statewide level, they're much more interested in economic development than they might have been 5 years ago. So those grants are getting more priority than they used to be. But I think you just need to be the stage where you've got an adopted EOA with an identified problem that DLCD is checked off on, and that's where you'll be at this point, which then helps the grant applications when Sean's trying to get some money to pay for the next step to do something about it. So that I don't really have a long formal presentation, so anything you've got or any questions, happy to help with.
I read the report already in the file. Council, did you have a chance to read the overall, or would you like additional information? Councilor Michelle?
No, I was able to skim through it. No, I didn't really have any questions. It seems pretty straightforward.
Councilor Young?
I have no questions, thank you.
Councilor Stein?
I don't have any questions.
Councilor?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, so with that, Mr. Johnson, at that point then, are we concluding on your update then, I'm assuming?
I think that's the conclusion of the update. Not a lot has been updated, but just a little bit of cleanup. I think primarily with yard space and stuff, Holly, that we had to deal with,
Yeah, I
which
remember
shows
that
up as
last time. It
vacant, but
was-
it's integral to the operation of a business.
Correct. It was scrubbing out that non-buildable land, but just as
Right.
Paul or Byron was already pointing out.
Right.
Okay, so with that, we'll move on with this public hearing then. Are there any questions of staff or consultants from city council before we continue to accept the public testimony? I kind of asked this here, but I have not asked staff, Administrator Wake,
No questions.
Superintendent. I'm not gonna butcher your name. Steve.
No questions, Mr.
By the way, I was practicing beforehand. Just drew a blank, I'm like, forget it, I'm not gonna even try to go there. Any concerns from you, Chief?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, so our leadership team has no comments or questions. So with that, I will now accept public testimony regarding this case. Is there anyone who would like to speak in support of the amendments? I mean, everyone in here is pretty much staff and or consultants, so because they're paid to like say nice things, so I'll leave it at that. Anyone online? I think we have Michael Carmen maybe on twice.
Usually you put Michael Carmen.
Yeah. Could be different. That's why I'm double checking. Give them a chance to raise their hand or,
They can unmute themselves.
all right, we'll leave it at that. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition of the amendments? To the amendments? Again, if you're online and you would like to speak, feel free to unmute. Okay. Is there anyone who would like to speak neither for nor against the amendments? AKA neutral. I like when proper English is done, neither goes with nor. Good job. Yep. And with that, would the city council like staff to address any of the testimony? And since there was no testimony here, I'll give city council one more chance. Is there any additional questions you would like answered? Okay. Then with that, before I close or continue the public hearing, are there any additional questions from city council, just asked, or staff? Okay, or anyone? As a reminder, once I do close this hearing, only counselors or staff may speak. So I'll just give it another 30 seconds, just in case we have a last minute unmute. Someone's in the, oh, Michael went into the waiting room. Okay. And with that, public testimony is now over. I will close the public hearing at 6:55 PM. I will now entertain discussion on the amendment and or a motion. So with that, we do have a set of motions in front of us, counselors. If you look on the back of Holly's report, there are 4 options presented that we could either approve as presented, approve as revised. We had no revisions that were discussed and or brought up. A motion to continue the public hearings to a date and time in the future. I'm not going to do that, and a motion to deny. Is there any discussion on this before we move forward to the motion? If not, I'll keep it very simple. I would like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the legislative amendment packet LA 202402, updated EOA and BLI, adopt the findings contained in the staff report and direct staff to present an enacting ordinance. I was enticing. An enticing ordinance.
That's
Okay.
two.
I'll second that motion. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. No, motion carries unanimously. Wonderful. All right. With that, let's just keep driving through this. Our next topic up for agenda is code change, signage request for legislative amendment. LaRue.
So Mayor, Council, we had had some discussion about a change of city planner. I'd like to introduce Laura LaRock. She is our new contracted city planner. And we have been working kind of behind the scenes on, kind of where we needed to immediately look at updating our code in, specifically to signage, because more and more businesses are starting to ask for illuminated signage, and what does that look like, and what do we want our city to look like? We don't want to look like Vegas going down Highway 99.
You sure?
Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
Well, we might.
Moved down Church Street.
We do have a couple businesses that have been asking for illuminated signage and kind of laughing at us that we don't have something more specific as far as what we do and don't allow. And so I thought this was a perfect kickoff project for Miss LaRock to start. So I'll go ahead and let her introduce herself, and you guys can ask her questions.
Wonderful. Well, welcome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, Laura LaRock. I own Pathfinder Land Use Consulting. I perform consulting services for a few different jurisdictions across Oregon. I have a background in both public and private planning. And I currently serve on kind of both sides on that. So great opportunity to review a number of codes throughout Oregon, and also put on my different hat as a regulator, just see both sides. So thank you for the introduction. I appreciate that. So tonight I'm before you today to seek authorization to initiate a signed code amendment. What that would entail is that I would work with your city staff and other interested parties to go through the existing code, identify any current constraints, items that need additional attention, and usually staff does a really great job to just capture these notes as we're working through applications. You usually have a running list to say, these are the items that we would like to address next time that amendment opportunity takes place. So usually what we focus on through a code amendment is streamlining the review process. So we're a heavily regulated area. Our first step is always make it easier. Making it easier saves the city time, staff time, and which equates to expense as well. On the other side, also it's easier to navigate from the public. You get a better perception of working with the government if it's a faster, easier process. So usually a win-win on both sides for them. Other things that we do focus on aesthetics, primarily with signage. It's a great tool for communication and also look. So we'll work with community members, yourself and staff to see what that image is for the community and make sure that your regulations reflect that. As Sean had pointed out, the code is very outdated at this point. So there's a lot of emerging and new technologies that are not reflected. So that could be a discussion to say, are those good things to allow in the community? And if they are, what kind of boundaries can be put on there to make sure that it reflects the community's character? Also clarity and consistency. So we want to make sure as regulators that we're applying the code uniformly the same way every time somebody comes in. Mostly in your sign community, you're talking about small business owners, and we want to be an asset to them. We don't want to make their job more difficult. Their focus should be growing their business, serving the public, and ours should be helping them get through those sign code regulations as efficiently as possible. And just making them easy to understand. And the last one, for those risk averse folks, is that we need some legal coverage. So there is layers of regulations, federal, state, local. Most of your community is along ODOT's right of way, who has their own sign regulations. And currently staff is looking at not only development code, but ODOT's regulation and the state, looking back and forth, and you can understand that there might be things that are missed or overlooked, and that increases the community's risk to those. So if you're willing, the next steps would be authorizing staff to initiate an amendment. The process would be to present kind of our overview of the code, items that could be improved, and then work through draft to final language to get that adopted.
Wonderful. Before we go into a motion for authorization, any questions, Councilor Michelle?
No, but this is long overdue, so it's nice to see us moving forward with it.
Yeah, Councilor Young? Don't have any questions, thank you. Councilor Zahn?
No question.
Counselor Stein?
I don't have any questions.
They stood up there just to see if you guys were paying attention. Yeah, I'm wondering if we can get ODOT to pay for illuminated signs to help us see the potholes on 99.
Barter, we're gonna barter.
All right, I'll make it simple then. No, I think this is a great way to kick it off. I guess my question for staff, in this case might be Administrator Witt as well, is we have been as a council discussing how do we put in place a look and feel for what we want Hubbard to be. We have some visioning documents, et cetera, but we don't have anything set in stone. I know that's something we wanted to work with even Planning Commission on. Is this something, I mean, if we're looking at what we want Hubbard to look like through 99E, or even on our main street, 3rd Street or 2nd Street, are we gonna take into consideration the long-term goal of what we also want the city to look like long-term? That would be my biggest question.
Yeah, correct, Mayor and Council, that is something that we would be putting in place along with these edits so that it's set in place. As we see growth starting to happen in Hubbard, I'd like to make sure that we have certain standards in place and people aren't just determining how Hubbard looks.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I would just add quickly that there are lots of opportunities for folks to get engaged in this conversation. So there could be an addition of an open house that's added to this process, just to get feedback from folks that use the code the most. And your planning commission will be involved as well.
We just get people through the door to the open house.
Yeah.
Everybody come.
Yeah. All right, so I'm assuming at this point though, Administrator Wade, you guys will need a motion for us to authorize this moving forward.
Yeah, so what we need is a motion for initiation of a legislative amendment 2026-01.
Simple. I'll make a motion as stated.
I'll second that.
All right, so I don't want to repeat that.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. Wonderful. Yeah, I learned that trick from a while ago.
You appreciate it.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to meet you, Ms. LaRock.
You as well.
Johnson Economics has more to present.
Well, so
Do you want-
I wanted to take a moment, Mayor and Council. So as part of the EOA agenda topic, there is the economic development document that's also included in your packet that's outside of the economic opportunity analysis.
Okay,
Mr. Johnson was gonna present real quick on that. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Brennan's gonna present real quick on that.
great. I'll go ahead and turn it back over. I didn't see it on the agenda. That's why I would have missed it.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Brendan Buckley. I'm also with Johnson Economics. I'm here to talk about a separate piece that coincidentally was happening kind of at the same time you were doing your economic opportunities analysis. And I just want to give an intro to what that project was. So there is in your packet a separate document. It's called Economic Strategic Plan. And this comes out of a project that was initiated regionally. It's been led by Jamie Jonk at the city of Woodburn, but it included a bunch of cities in North Marion County in 9 separate cities. So that project was funded by a grant from the Ford Foundation. And so what we did was we produced a regional economic development strategy document for the North Marion County region. And then starting from that as sort of a basis, we work with the cities to tailor that document to your more local conditions. So what is in your packet is a draft of an economic strategic plan that we have come up with for Hubbard. And we've been working with Sean on that, and we have been drawing from the economic opportunities analysis, your vision from a couple years ago, these types of documents that Hubbard has already been working on to come together and put this plan together. So that effort, I'm going to pull up my notes real quick. So I'm not going to go through everything that's in that plan, but basically, it's meant to present some background. It's less intensive than what was in the EOA, but it gets to your vision statement, which borrows heavily from the vision that you adopted a couple years ago. Talks about SWOT analysis. So SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then coming out of that, coming up with some strategies and implementation actions that the city might take, and applying sort of a priority and timeline to those. And Sean has provided us a lot of information on that and feedback on that. So those strategies include things like land supply and site readiness, which is a really big thing coming out of the economic opportunities analysis. That was a big part of the conclusion, as Holly and Jerry discussed. But then there's also policy and code strategies, strategies for employment, small business development, workforce, how to encourage real estate or, more commercial and industrial development, and potential funding sources. So that is the document, and I wanted to, I know you have a full agenda tonight, so I wanted to introduce you to that project that's been underway. And we have the, excuse me, we have the scope and ability to come back to this group or the planning commission or whoever you think is most appropriate to talk more about the details of that plan and go through some of the strategies in more granular detail and get your thoughts on what those are. But I wanted to just introduce the project, let you know that document is in your packet, and encourage you to read it and get back to your city staff with any comments or questions that you have, and they can pass that on to us. And it's not considered final yet, so we can keep working on that if there are more iterations that are needed. So, are there any questions on what that project is, or any questions about the process or project that I can answer for you at this time?
Just to be clear, are we talking about this report here, the one that we pulled the small group together for a couple months ago? Okay. So I'm well aware of it because I sat in the room when we went through
Okay.
it and identified it, but my concern is I don't know if city council is fully aware. So in your packet, we do have something called our Economic Development Strategic Plan. I think we went through it as a group, if I'm not mistaken, back in November, maybe. Actually, it might have even been September timeframe.
It's in the fall.
Right, and it was a laundry list of items in there. We did pull together a working group, Administrator Waite did. We had a few business leaders here, and I think a few residents. I don't remember all who was there. But we did go through line by line to identify things that were criteria that we think that we need to look at, and then kind of X out areas that is just not applicable. So I mean, it makes sense. This is funded by the Farm Foundation, if I'm not mistaken. So at the end of the day, this is a funded study or effort. Assume it continue to go forward. But with that, I want to make sure that the council is well informed of what's going on here as well. Because again, yeah, we have talked about it, but it's back in front of us again. Councilor Bichelle, any concerns, questions that you might have? No. Okay. And it did take me a while to find it. As soon as I saw it, it all dawned on me. Councilor Yonley.
No, I don't have any questions about this particular document.
No problem. Councilor Steiner.
I don't have any questions.
Councilor Zai.
No questions at the time. Thank you.
Okay, so what are the next steps gonna be then? We just heard, is it right to go to the planning commission first or to come to here? I'm not sure. This is something the planning commission would be chartered to do?
No, so Mayor, Council, normally this type of document is reviewed and approved by council.
Okay, that's what I was.
My hope for this document is it will help during our prioritization process and budgeting process for next fiscal year, and kind of the priorities that council wants staff to focus on for next fiscal year, maybe the next 5 years.
Yes.
It's kind of a strategic visioning plan.
Right, just so council is well aware too, I have talked with Administrator Wade that possibly in early March or late February, we do need to pull something together so we can have a goal setting, an effort. At this point, if you look at our current list of long-term goals, we've actually almost completed them all. So, as we're going into budget season, obviously staff is gonna be looking for the priorities that council would like to see them continue working on. They might be obvious to us, but we want to make sure that it's very clear between us and the city staff. TBD on when we're to be determined on when we're gonna get that scheduled, but hopefully before the budgeting cycle kicks off, which means my assumption would be it'd have to be in February or early March. Okay. So next steps on this one then?
So if council doesn't have any suggested edits, we could go ahead and move forward with finalizing the document and bring it back for adoption, in February.
Do it in February. Would you allow council to read the document in case they haven't had a chance to offline, provide
Absolutely.
feedback to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So my request is please, it's not a long one, take a chance, or not chance, but take an opportunity to read through there, provide any input you have to Administrator Wade so she can make sure that gets conveyed. Primarily, there's gonna be tables in this document, and I wanna point those out. This is where the meat of the document is. Take a look at what's in there currently, what's been identified. If you have any suggestion changes, let her know. You can get those incorporated, bring it back for final approval in February, then I think it's a fantastic idea. You don't need a motion or anything from us on that, just consensus?
Just consensus.
Any consensus issues? I should say real quick. I mean, everyone up here seems to be nodding, but I just need a good nod to make sure everyone's in line. Thank you. That's obvious. Perfect. All right, we're good. Anything else I missed on the agenda before we move to the next one? Awesome. All right, let's move on to the water project update, the one I've just been watering my mouth for. I don't know, I'm trying to figure out some sort of pun, but I can't. We'll welcome up, Mr. Wallington? Waldlington. Not close. Well, turn it over to you. Thank you.
Okay. Well, it's been a while, and I don't know if I heard, actually talked about the water projects.
Throwing papers on the ground already.
We all thanks.
So I wanted to kind of give you an update on where we stand, what we've been through.
It needs to be in slide, so there we go. Is it on?
Should be.
The clicker on?
So I have it on. Is it not working?
This happened last time too. It's a test.
I have.
Well, if you can. Or-
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay, let's see if it's working. Okay.
Just that way.
One thing I wanted to note real quick is that Civil West did a name change for Albertantis. We were merged with another company beginning of last year. So beginning of this year, we're starting the brand transition. So
you're gonna get lots of new cool swag.
I get a new jacket. I don't even get new business.
That's how the old ones run out.
Yes. So anyway, that's why for names, top of the slide. So kind of a background of the project, the primary, reason for the project was increasing water pressure in the city. So the existing treatment system relies on, an elevated storage tank right outside. The elevation of the storage tank dictates the water pressure in the city, which is, about 40 PSI, a little bit higher. And so the existing pumps at the water treatment plant just pump to fill that reservoir, and then that reservoir, floods the city, provides the pressure. So what we'll be doing is going away from that model of pressurization. I also want to talk about the water source. The city has 4 wells, conveniently named 1, 2, 3, and 4. Total water rights are almost 1,500 gallons per minute, including well number 1. The city has capacity to produce a little over 1,400 gallons per minute, so you're within your water rights, you're not out producing water rights. Well number one has capacity of 480 gallons per minute, but is no longer operable. The screen, failed, and there's just, it runs, but just churns up a bunch of silt and gravel. So this leaves the city capable of pumping 929 gallons per minute, or about 1.34 million gallons per day. Per the city's water master plan, your maximum daily demand is 0.7 million gallons a day. However, when we look at running the water plant 8 hours a day, at 929 gallons a minute, you're only producing 0.45 million gallons a day. So you're not able to produce your maximum day demand in an 8-hour day. So,
Quick question, is that because of well one being offline?
yeah.
Okay.
With well number one online, you're able to produce kind of right at that maximum day demand. And that's not to say you can't run a water plant more than 8 hours a day. You can, it's just staff has to be there to do it.
Silly question, I can see it there, you missed it there on bullet 3 too. So.
Wonder if the batteries are, so Julie.
I have extra batteries.
Julie.
Just advance this slide.
Oh, okay, so it just takes a second. I'll keep going back and forth, keep it away. So for the water pressure issue, what we're recommending is to install a pump system that will pump to about 60 PSI and will maintain that pressure at any given water flow. And so it'll have a SCADA system that'll read the pressure and ramp pumps up or down depending on the flow demand from the city. So it will remove the elevated storage tank from the system. I'm not gonna remove it from the city, but it'll isolate it from the system. And we upsize some key segments in the pipe to allow for this increased water pressure and flow. Those upsize pipe segments have already been done. Those happened this last summer. And then from a treatment standpoint, we're adding a third filter to the water treatment plant. Currently, there's 2 green sand filters. We're adding a third filter, replacing the automation components to get away from obsolete programming and components. Replacing the emergency generator because it has to be sized differently for the newer pumps that are going in there. And then we're gonna fix the leaking roof. So, and then for the water source, we'll replace well number 1. That's an easy one. And we talked about that. It's just kind of across the street from the existing water treatment plant. So this is a diagram, kind of hard to see, of the existing water treatment plant, showing the 2 bigger rectangles are the 2 filter units that are currently there. This is the new system. So you'll see the addition of another filter unit up there in the top left. You'll see a new pump system down there in the bottom right. And then in the lower left corner, there's a new room that'll be the control electric SCADA room. So that's the difference in layouts. Highlighted there are the pumps, the SCADA room, and the filter unit. You want to point out that based on conversations with Administrator Wade and the Public Works Superintendent Steve Martinko, we've identified some areas that we want to put off doing to a later date. This would include all the work associated with the new well, as well as some of the piping inside. And what I highlighted there was all the piping necessary to get that third filter online. The third filter was pre-purchased because it had a long lead time, so the city's already purchased that. It's done, it's waiting to be delivered. but we don't need to get it online right away. Certainly not before well one is replaced.
So this building here, is this the one over by the fire department?
Yes. And so right behind the building, you'll see that kind of arc is the corner of the water of the tank, the storage tank, let's say.
Ground level storage tank.
Yeah. Next slide is kind of the site with the well on it, just across the street from the water treatment plant. It's a pretty basic, put in 2 parking spots and the well building. There'll be a new electric service going over to it. But it actually ties in to the raw water line that's coming from the well out here by the elevated tower. So it doesn't even need a new water pipe all the way to the reservoir because we can just tie into that. But everything associated with this site can be put off. What we're doing is bidding this with a Schedule A and a Schedule B. So we get prices from a contractor for everything, but makes it real easy to have the city just authorize construction of Schedule A, which is the primary infrastructure, and Schedule B being the well, that additional piping. Other parts of Schedule B would include any of the SCADA controls that would control the new well or the new filter unit. Those will also be in Schedule B.
Are we worried about that by chance? I know we have a lot of issues with our existing unit or whatever it is. I mean, we see it when it floods every time over in the tower. Is there a risk on delaying that, not having it part of A,
The
the SCADA?
Well, we will be replacing the SCADA, but
SCADA,
not all of it. We'll leave the portion that controls the new well to the next phase.
Out of curiosity too, and I don't know if you can answer it or maybe even Steve, is how many pumps are we actually gonna have? Are we gonna have redundancy built in case one fails? Because we have a history in the city of burning pumps.
As a matter of fact, you do, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, we do. Even if they're wet, they'll still burn.
You will have,
You folks are amazing,
you will have redundancy. There'll be a total of 6 pumps. There's two large pumps that are kind of fire flow pumps, 2 medium duty pumps, and 2 small pumps. And those will all work in kind of series with each other to be able to ramp up based on the flow demands. Once it's at a certain level, the next bigger pump will kick on, and it will all be kind of, that logic will be programmed in the SCADA system. Wonderful.
Yeah, my biggest fear is having this turned on and then water pressure break for a day and turn out a pump.
Well, you will have a generator that'll be sized to run it, so power outage, you should still have water pressure and water flow.
I'm assuming it's gonna be multi-fuel generator like we have over here, diesel, natural gas, whatever.
I think it's a diesel.
Diesel.
So I think that is everything I have. I'm happy to answer questions or.
So we're done with the installation of the underground pipes. Right, that happened.
With the exception of those necessary for the well.
Correct. What would the next visible sign? What's the next thing that residents are actually gonna see?
Unless they're standing in front of the water plant, they won't see much.
Just lots of,
There'll be a lot of work at the water treatment plant. And we'll have to take out a couple walls to get some of these equipment pieces in. There'll be roll-up doors where there were just man doors, so they'll see changes to that. But for the most part, it's inside.
and Schedule A is first, obviously, A goes before B. So when do we, so A, I'm assuming is currently technically in flight if we were to replace pipes, et cetera.
Well, Schedule A, what we're talking about, Schedule A is just for the water treatment plant. The pipes were different.
Okay, so
Different
that's like a
project that
point.
already happened. Our plan is to go out to bid, at the end of the month. or very early next month, but we're ready to go out to bid soon. And again, we'll bid it Schedule A and Schedule B. If bids come in low and the city has the funds, we may be able to authorize both of them, but we're anticipating that we'll just go ahead with Schedule A, but we'll have a real good understanding of what Schedule B is.
So RFP by the end of the month, and how long is that open for?
It'll be open for about a month. And
So
then
it'll
it'll take
February
another,
close.
yeah, close into February, another month to get the contracts signed, and so they could be going by early April.
Good, perfect time, great season, April, nice and warm. Or,
And so, like I said, there were three components that were pre-purchased due to the lead time. The generator, the third filter unit, and the pump skid. So those are all ready to go right now.
so the contract basically for the installation work, that just to be done.
Yep.
Okay, I'm excited to see this moving forward, I know this council has been talking about this for years. I mean, years, before half the council was even on here. So it will be fantastic. And I know you say the typical pressure is about 40, but even at my house, it's about 30 on a good day. Depending if anyone's taking a shower, then I can watch the sprinkler system slowly go down. But outside of that, it's gonna be great to see this water pressure brought up. I think most residents are gonna be pretty shocked with normal water pressure feels like. Outside of that.
No, I just don't water. But they had this, one that, called a rain mask or something like that. It was it doesn't go across the line, it just kind of sits there and bounces.
Pressure to even move. We have that. Okay, questions, from council, Councilor Zadi, any questions?
No, not really. I did want to clarify that on the generator, it's single fuel, right? Diesel only.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's a big part.
Well, that's not other questions, so.
Councilor Stein?
I don't have any questions, no.
I guess the only question I would have on that one is, we did lose power. We did lose power 4 years ago in 2021 with that ice storm. How long will we have sufficient fuel to be able to run the generator to keep the pumps running?
Currently, we have, the Spire grant gave us 1,000-gallon diesel. And so, tank.
Right.
So at the moment, we have 500, we put 500 gallons in it right before the last major storm, which was actually fortuitous because we needed it. We have about, at the current level, about 7 days.
It's about 7 days.
Without
before it needs to be
refueling,
replenished.
without replenishing because at the start of the year, we fill all the tanks of the generators. We have the Spire tank, we have another 100-gallon tank in the back of our F-350, which can go around and find fuel from other folks or stations as necessary. But regardless, it's about 7 days with our current capacity.
Yeah, I know even on the last time when we did lose power, we had local businesses and so forth that were literally helping us.
They did, that's what I understand. And
Yeah.
this last storm, we were out for about 48 hours at the main wastewater facility. So the large generator was on for 48 hours.
Perfect. What we have them for.
Yes.
Plan for the worst, hope for the best. Okay, Councilor Youngman.
I have no further questions, thank you.
Councilor Bishop. And wonderful, thank you for the update. This
Thank
is
you.
very informative. I wish more, I hope more people are gonna listen to this. We'll obviously give them an update in the next town hall we do. But this is something that, again, it's, we as a city, whether it's a council or staff, this is a big thing. It's very expensive that we're doing. Something people aren't seeing. It's not like a new sidewalk or a road. But once it's in place, it's gonna be noticeable.
You'll feel it in the shower.
Yeah, or we'll see it in the streets when the pipes are burst.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, with that, let's go on to the SDC presentation and we'll welcome up Mr. Dominus.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors, and your water project is funded.
Yes,
Did that. Tonight you've got a resolution in front of you, resolution number 836-026 or 2026. This is the culmination of the work we've done over this last year. So this is nothing new to you folks. From a statutory standpoint, you are now in compliance with your SDC methodology review. On October 15th, we made statutory notice to interested parties. On November 15th, the methodology was available for review and inspection at the city's website. On December 9th, you held a work session and were brought up to speed on what the methodology was and what the numbers were. And tonight, there is a resolution that contains those numbers and the methodology and adopts the report. In the staff report, there are 3 options for your consideration. Adopt the resolution as written. Adopt the resolution with revisions per your request, or remand the resolution back to staff for curative action. That's the staff report. Thank you.
So it was gonna be,
Short and sweet.
we've literally discussed this quite a lot.
Yeah.
Questions that we might have for Mr. Donovan, Council Michelle?
No questions. We've talked about it so much.
Council Donovan?
I have no questions. Thank you, Rick.
Council Steininger? Council Zadi?
No, thank you.
I'll see you next time.
Yeah.
For the public listening in, this is what I appreciate about government sometimes, is we do move a little slow, but to make sure that the i's are dotted, t's are crossed, and not making a stupid decision. So in this case, it is pretty straightforward. I'd make a motion that we adopt resolution 836-2026, resolution authorizing adoption of an updated SDC methodologies and rates for water, wastewater, transportation, and park services, and repeal resolution 809-2025. Second. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Carries unanimously.
And I shall darken your door no more.
Oh, we'll find a way to bring it back now.
Are you retiring then?
Oh, no.
No.
I'm sure there's a fee somewhere that's not been turned.
There's a fee somewhere to be had. Guys,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, let's move on to other agency reports. Do we have Chief Carmen on by chance?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you okay. A little soft, but I can hear you good enough and I'm half deaf, so we're good.
Well, thank you for letting me come and speak. I want to talk a little bit about December. We had 52 calls for service. 59 calls for service, which brought our 2025 total to 790 calls for service. Not as much as the prior year, but still up there. The great thing is we had a fire response to every single one of those. We didn't drop any calls. We did require some aid on some of them from our partnering agencies like Woodburn and Aurora Fire, but every call did have a Hubbard fire response. So, and I believe that's a first in our history. So some other items of note: we did about 1,994 hours of training during the 2025 calendar year, 220 hours of public education and outreach, 74 hours of fire planning and fire investigations, and 24 fire inspections. So good numbers for the year. Feel really accomplished. Really proud of the members here and the dedication they continue to show every single day. With that being said, Riley Hamilton, he's one of our lieutenants, approached me and let me know that Salem Fire was surplusing or getting rid of an old apparatus that they had. So I've been in contact with them, and we actually took ownership of that apparatus last Friday. So it's a 2008 KME Predator, which is replacing our 1995 Pierce Dash. Cool thing is it's red, like fire engines are supposed to be. You should see it going into service sometime mid-February. The holdup now is just getting the logos and stickers and details for it. Already have begun to train on it, including this Sunday. We're going to be going to the Silverton training tower where we've got a live burn scheduled. We should be out there a majority of the day, and Woodburn Fire District will be covering us. So that's really exciting. And we're just getting that engine ready to go so that we can continue to serve the citizens of Hubbard as we have been doing. With that being said, do you guys have any questions for me?
I personally have no questions, but my continued gratitude to your fire district with your participation, tree lightings, food drives, etc. You guys are an integral part of this community for sure, and you guys are out there and present and engaged. And I can't say enough how that goes a long ways with our residents feeling safe and secure, whether it's the police department or the fire department. You guys are always out there, always out, always engaged, and I just don't know how to thank you for doing that. And great job on getting the newer apparatus. Especially, I agree with you. I think fire engines should be red or yellow. You don't hear about fire engine yellow.
That's true.
But with that, council, any questions you might have for Chief Carmen? And we'll start with Councilor Zadi.
No question, just want to say thank you to you and the rest of the firefighters for doing what you do, and congratulations on the new vehicle.
Thank you.
Councilor Steiner,
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Councilor Yonlin,
No questions, thank you very much, thank you for all you do out there.
Councilor Michelle.
No questions, thank you.
Wonderful. Chief Carmen, thank you again for dialing in. I know I gave your report last time, but you dialing into these sessions continues to show that as a community, we're working together with all the agencies as one. I think it goes a long ways. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
And I hope you feel better because I hear sniffles. That's never good.
Yeah,
All right.
hopefully I can say.
All right. Enjoy the burn. when
Thank
that
you.
comes out. With that, next next agenda topics, appointment of planning commission member. 2 positions are available. We have 1 applicant right now, Mr. Young. I think he's a returning, if I'm not mistaken. Is there any concern with reappointing Mr. Young to the planning commission? Just look around. If there's no discussion on that, does someone want to make a motion? So I keep making all the motions.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Mark Young to the planning commission.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, and do we need to identify the term?
No.
Is it the one all the way through December 30, whatever, 2028? Okay. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Say nay. Okay, Mr. Young is yet again back on the planning commission. Wonderful, I'm glad you reapplied. All right, we'll move on to the next one, renaming the public safety fee. Administrator Wade.
So thank you, Mayor, Council. It was brought to my attention, mid last year that when the fire department went out, for their bond support, to the voters, there was some confusion about the public safety fee that the city had implemented. And many of the community members thought that that public safety fee, also part of that, funded the fire district. And so concluding conversations with the fire chief, we decided that it would probably be a good idea to rename that fee. And so we're proposing that council consider renaming the public safety fee, the police services fee. There are 2 actions, if council elects to do that tonight. One would be to read the new ordinance twice by title only, and then in the consent agenda, there's a resolution that council would need to approve in order to change the name. It doesn't change the fee or the methodology behind the fee, it's just strictly the title.
Removing the confusion.
Mhm.
Understood. Counselor Zadi, any concerns, any questions? No. Counselor Steiner?
My only concern is timing with taking over Aurora, changing it. Some people are just gonna see a new fee. Just to make sure that we're prepared when people call about that, to explain that it's not because we added Aurora to our police district. I know there'll be people that just won't notice that one fee disappeared and they'll just see the police fee now. And so just making sure maybe in the newsletter, there's a note about the name change, just so that we're making sure it comes out. But otherwise, I think it makes perfect sense to title it what it is supporting, so that there's not confusion with fire. That'd be my only thing, is timing.
Counselor Young?
I have no concerns.
Counselor Michelle?
No concerns.
Okay, the only thing I was in a second was what Steiner just said, and that's I do agree. We just need to make sure perception is most things, and we don't want the perception of somehow implementing a fee once we just expand it. And I agree with that. It's just a rename of the fee. We just need to make it clear in the newsletter, post it online. If there is any questions, just make sure we all have the exact same answer, which we do. It's just a renaming of an existing fee. Okay, so with that, I will move forward, and this is always confusing me because we do it right sometimes and wrong other times. I would like to make a motion that we read by title only for first reading.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have to vote on those each time?
You're technically supposed to.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay? Okay, ordinance 396-2026, an ordinance amending the Hubbard Municipal Code, chapter 3.40 to rename the public safety fee as the police services fee. I'll make a motion to read by title only for second reading.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. With that, ordinance 396-2026, an ordinance amending the Hubbard Municipal Code, chapter 3.40 to rename the public safety fee as the police services fee. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. And with that, that ordinance carries. Next up would be the Klazinski Award. Back to Administrator Wade.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. So every year we come to council, we collective staff come to council with a nomination for the annual Klazinski Volunteer of the Year Award. This year, staff is nominating the volunteers in the fire district. As stated before, they are very involved in our community. They're integral in public safety and keeping our community safe, working with our police department on community events, as well as community outreach, and staff would just like to make a recommendation for that award to go to them.
In terms of discussion, any discussion, Councilor Zahn?
Okay.
Councilor Stein?
Discussion.
Councilor Yama?
I think it's a great idea.
Councilor Paschal?
Yeah, I agree. We heard from Chief Carmen just a little short time ago, and, we have great synergy between the fire district and the city. So this is a great way to recognize them for everything they do.
Can't concur more. When I saw that come across in the packet, I was actually like, this is a fantastic idea. I mean, talk about people who are dedicating numerous hours of volunteer time and putting their lives at risk. I think it's a fantastic. I think you have consensus amongst us. Do you need a vote from us? I don't think so. Do you?
We to approve.
All right, then. Someone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll move that we approve the nomination of the Hubbard Fire District for the City of Hubbard Klazinski Volunteer of the Year Award, and authorize City Administrator Wade to prepare the award presentation during the February 10, 2026 City Council meeting.
I second that.
We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the next topic, Urban Renewal District Program discussion.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. This item request is not for council approval of the urban renewal districts and the urban renewal district agency. This is seeking direction from council as far as how you want staff to move forward. A couple months ago, there was some discussion as far as the potential cost of the urban renewal district and working on that effort, the cost with the consultant. Council asked me to take a month or two to reevaluate and come back with some options about how to move forward. And so tonight I'm presenting 3 options to council for consideration. So the first one would be to create a reduced footprint of the urban renewal district boundary, which would lessen any future impact on the general fund property tax revenue that the general fund receives. And it would also then reduce the revenue that would go into the urban renewal district agency. But there would still be some in there. We could continue moving forward like we were originally, where just over years, we collect that revenue until we have enough revenue that we can, issue some debt service, get a loan and start funding projects. So that is one option. And then the second option would be to go ahead and implement a reduced urban renewal district. But then look at funding some of those projects through an interfund loan from our street construction fund. So that money would be transferred into the urban renewal district agency. Because the type of funding that would be going in, the type of projects would be restricted. So it'd be specific to streets, stormwater, sidewalks. That would be pretty much everything that we could do with those funds. But then that loan would be paid back through the general fund as the urban renewal agency collects that property tax. Getting started on those projects, it would probably take about a year because we would need to show our auditors that we do have enough money coming in through the urban renewal agency and the property tax that it's receiving to make those annual payments back to the street construction fund. So as far as being able to act sooner on any projects within the urban renewal district, this approach would actually really speed that up. The third option is then just to take our street construction fund dollars and, like I say in my report, pay as you go. So council identifies some projects. We have $2.5 million on hand in our street construction fund that we can use to do those upgrades now without implementing an agency. So there's three different options for council's consideration, and I wanted to turn it over to you for discussion and any questions that I can answer.
Okay, I'll kick off the discussion real quick. I'm a big proponent for the urban renewal primarily because of the ability to get future funding at, present dollars, if you would. I do know we do need to reduce the initial scope that was originally seen. We don't want to impact our bottom line too much by removing too much of our tax infrastructure. At the same time, we want to keep moving forward. So the way I look at it, I like option 2, primarily because all we're doing there is loaning ourselves the money to start the projects, while the urban renewal district is basically formed and moving forward. There's still some time that's going to have to happen. I don't like option 3, primarily because yes, we could do that, but at the end of the day, priorities can change on a council. If the urban renewal district is put in place, at least we have some sort of long-term plan for what we're trying to do. I'm afraid option number 3 is too much, to me, a gray area. That's my opinion. It's a gray area. Option 1 is still there. I think option 2 just gives us the ability to take what we already have in our street funds to begin work once the project's brought back to get in place what we need to put the infrastructure in place to try to kickstart some urban development, renewal, if you would. To try to get the proper sidewalks in place, the road infrastructure, maybe even repave some of those roads. I'm assuming we'll have a limited scope on what we can do because that money won't stretch too far and it needs to be there for a purpose. That's my 2 cents. Council discussion though, where are we at? Councilor Zadi, what do you think of?
My question is, if we left things the way they are now, what would be the problems? Like, is there some hangups of doing that? I do like option 2, but I'm kind of curious as why we want to move away from what we're doing now.
Well, so option 2, I mean, you're setting up an agency where that money is gonna be paid back into the street construction fund. Where through, it's kind of general fund and it flows through, we don't do that now. So if we take option 3, where we're using the street construction fund, that's truly just gas tax revenue. I don't know where that's gonna go in the future. And we also, I mean, we could transfer general fund into that fund, but it turns into an interfund loan. It can't just stay there. So, when I look at, if we're gonna keep our street construction fund like replenished, having it funded through the Urban Renewal Agency and repaying back that loan is one way to do that. One thing that is in my report that I wanted to mention, there is gonna be some cost because to start up, because the initial boundary is gonna have to be reduced in scope. And that requires surveyor work and then some actually recalculating of the numbers. So that original contractor, I will have to work through his subcontractor to get that scope.
Is that one of the reasons why it would take a year to get that going if we decide to go with option 2?
So it would take, so actually what would happen is that the Urban Renewal Agency has to go into effect at the beginning of the fiscal year. So we would work very hard to get it in place and go through all the process and formal council approval of the agency by July 1 of 2026, so that we can start setting up and identifying the projects and bringing them to council.
The costs with the survey, are they pretty high? Maybe.
So we're looking at about 5,000 for that.
Okay. I don't think we could do it for option 2. Got option go. Thank you very much.
So option 3 is basically what we're doing now, right?
Well, to be honest, counselor, we haven't done anything.
But don't we use
It's like in theory what we're kind of doing now.
In theory, yes, correct.
But we use the street fund for streets and sidewalks, right?
The street construction fund is for streets and sidewalks, and could be used for any grant matches. I have been working with the public works superintendent. The small city allotment grant application is coming out. That doesn't require a match. But we are gonna be applying for that grant, to potentially address some flooding issues, in some of our streets, so adding some stormwater and then having to resurface and so forth. So that money can be used on any projects that's a priority, for council, as long as it's street, stormwater, sidewalks.
And then when we reduce the size of the urban renewal district, is it possible to increase that in the future?
It is. So one thing about an urban renewal district boundary is you can start out smaller and then you can always increase it. However, you can't start out at a large size and then decrease it over time. So whatever you start out with, that has to be in place for whatever timeline, your 10, 15, or 30 years. But you can, as long as there's cherry stems, which we'll design it that way, we can expand it.
So we would be able to have places actually get built and established and then increase it. So we get that main tax base. We keep the taxes as is on the urban renewal district.
Correct.
So like if we added it after it was built versus before it was built, it will help out a lot.
The impact of the general fund is less. So when, for example, I think about the mixed use facility that they're looking at putting on Highway 99. Right now, that property tax would be capped at its current value. Once that's developed, if the urban renewal district is in place, that differential in the property tax will actually go to the urban renewal agency and not to the general fund. So they'll see the growth in the urban renewal agency.
No, I like option 2. I think that makes the most sense. Thank you.
Councilors, Zong, no, Zong. You know, signing with God. So I just kind of want to recap a little bit here and then kind of ask a couple questions. So, currently we're not doing anything. The route we've been kind of going down here with all these studies is we're going to set up this, basically it's a TIF. Where we're taking the tax increase and saving that aside. And the city's not receiving that money back in the general revenue as, you know, our expenses are still gonna have an inflationary value to them. As we develop the city out, we may need more staff, they need more pipes, things like that, improvements in their current infrastructure. The developments hopefully will pay for their own piping, stuff like that. So, but that goes into, that increase in value goes into the urban renewal district. That's kind of the route we've been marching down, and, but that's gonna impact our bottom line significantly through our ongoing budgeting years. Option two is this reduced urban renewal district interfund loan scenario, same process, except we will have to do this, so the interfund loan from the street fund, and then the third one is kind of pay as you go, where we'll see a company wants to come in and build a storefront, a fast food restaurant or something, and then we would do those street improvements right then and there. So, but there's no initial draw to bring in it. Now, the question I have is, other than streets and sidewalks, what other projects would that urban renewal district pay for? What else, what is the other, are they gonna go in and flatten the ground out? Are we gonna go in and put extra drainage for their parking lot? What does that urban renewal district actually pay for those, to draw those businesses in?
So great question, Counselor. So the urban renewal district, there's a couple different options. Because of the type of funding, we have to be very careful about what projects we're gonna fund, even though that money's transferred into another agency. So, because it's transferred as a loan. But there's restrictions on how you can use gas tax revenue, and that is strictly streets. So if we granted money, for example, to a developer that needs drainage on their property's parking lot, we can do something like that. As far as flexibility, it really has to be related to roads, if you're doing that loan.
Yeah, or maybe, well, I don't know if we could do this, but expanding a turn lane into a development, could we do something like that? Or, of course, that might stumble upon ODOT.
Right.
So I'm just kind of wondering what we have this urban renewal district, and we have the money sitting there, and we have a committee sitting there, and all right, so what are they actually spending that money on?
That's what you get to decide. So what will
I know,
happen?
but I mean, what are the likely projects? So
Well, it's stormwater, it is sidewalks, so it could be a parking lot. So we've talked about a parking lot on Third, those kinds of things.
So the idea is we just have money set aside specifically for that type of stuff versus pay as you go.
Yeah, so it would,
Funds sit there.
so it'd be any projects within that urban renewal district boundary.
So just expanding the Third Street and putting in diagonal parking along there
Mm-hmm.
on the railroad side, on the east side. of Third.
Correct, yeah. But all the improvements have to be in that urban renewal district boundary.
Mhm.
It can't be outside of that.
Yeah, and just to clarify though, Counselor Yonley, I think what you're looking at is the interagency loan here, the loan. That has to be restricted to sidewalks, streets, or road.
Improvements.
Once the urban renewal district is up and able to prove what their revenue stream could potentially be from the increased taxes, that allows us to take out then a future loan that we can pay back with those loans to do other projects outside of just that, what we would do to kickstart it with that interagency loan. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But then would we have more flexibility with that tax?
Yes, that one we'd have a little bit more outside of just the roads and the sidewalks. Beautification, whatever it might be, it could be whatever we decide that we want to see done.
So what could we go, possibly like do, instead of the tax increase, maybe we do a half of whatever that tax increase that is. Let's say, we improve, the tax increase is $5,000 a year on that piece of property. And instead of putting that whole 5,000 into the urban renewal district, can we put like $2,500 in that?
No, it doesn't work that way. So, the property tax is capped. Once the agency goes into effect, we can't say, oh, for example, say there's a new development on Third Street. And the increase to the property tax goes up, say $50,000. We can't say, oh, 25 of that is gonna go into general fund. The rest is gonna go into the agency. It would all go into the agency.
They don't allow us to do that. Okay.
And one of the reasons then again, for the reduction of our original urban renewal district is to ensure that we don't impact the general fund.
Right. I was thinking half of that.
Yeah,
That way
they don't like us playing games that way. I mean, it'd be great to say, yeah, we want to piecemeal out this.
Yeah, I mean, let's do half or, 30% or something like that.
Yeah, but you're spot on with the concern about our overall financial health, right? And again, I sent out a message to council to please read the financial report before it was, right, because we're not gonna go into super depth here, but we do have areas that need attention. And that's one of the driving factors behind reducing the size of the urban renewal district is we cannot take that big of a financial hit.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
So,
So it's a great question.
I'm just looking at another way around that.
No, I appreciate that.
Okay, anything else?
That's
Okay,
fine.
Council Michelle?
No, well, just to tie into what you were just talking about, with the larger budget picture being what it's kind of turning out to be. I worry about capping revenue in a environment where costs are increasing constantly with no end in sight. It's kind of this whole urban renewal thing is such a weird, it feels like kind of a shell game. You're gonna take this money and move it over here, and then you couldn't use it for this over here, but now that it's over here, you can use it for this other thing, but it's the same money. And it's just so weird. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, so.
Yeah. The only benefit the urban renewal district will allow us to do is basically borrow that potential future revenue now, which we
Yeah.
can't do.
Yeah.
And you're right, there is a risk. Everything's gonna be a risk. The problem we're gonna face though is. Yeah,
It is.
yeah, pretty much. And they're gonna cap our income and take what we're making above it.
Right.
But we need the goal behind it at the end of the day is to kickstart the infrastructures needed to get investment back into the city.
Yes, I agree with you, and that part of it definitely needs to happen. It's just how do we get there? Yeah.
Okay, so what direction are you looking from council tonight then?
I just need direction from council, which option you want me to work on.
You needed an emotion or I don't think we'll have a consensus, but how would you like to
So,
set?
well, there's not actually, so I'm gonna say, since this is in my performance evaluation, I do want a motion. Because it does say I will implement one. And so I do want a motion, and then this actually comes back to council for final approval.
Right.
This
This is just giving you direction.
This is giving me direction to proceed with whatever option and starting to, so, our taxing partners have all been notified that we are working on this. That happened a while ago. We will have to send them updated numbers about what the reduced urban renewal district will look like. So that's part of the cost that I was talking about. And then I will have to do a follow-up with the Marion County Commissioners. And then we can start actually building it into our fiscal year 27 budget. But while all that's going on, I will be presenting final numbers to you probably March, end of March, no, probably April, end of April.
Better, I'm seeing Mark to become really busy.
Yeah, it's.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in, so we just keep this moving forward. I'd make a motion that we go with option 2 to reduce the urban renewal district for the interfund loan for the street infrastructure.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay. you'll bring it back to us, I guess, as you were saying in April, we'll take a deeper look at it. Or,
I'll keep you updated as we move
Okay.
forward.
this is one that I want council, let's keep really good eyes on this. And we need to just keep a very sharp eye as we go into the budget as well. The goal here is not to hamper it, but to actually help us grow as a city. Just remember, that's the goal behind it.
Right.
All right, let's move on to, is there any interested citizens? No? I don't think so. Okay, any counselor want to pose as an interested citizen? All right, let's keep moving on. Mayor and or council presentations. The biggest one I've got right now, I don't have any overall presentations, but I do want to do a shout out and thank you to Public Works. Superintendent, Martineco, did I even get it close? Did I get it close? Yeah. All right, thank you. We had a record amounts of rain coming down. I know your department worked extremely hard to keep those pumps working. We did not have a single spill. We weren't dumping sludge. No, I know it was a lot of work. I love that when I read your report, how you guys ingeniously figured out a new flow mechanism. I don't want to know what that is, but at the end of the day, thank you. You kept us out of DEQ's crosshairs. We spilled nothing. You guys acted as a professional unit. You were great. You're out putting signs up as needed as well. My heartfelt thank you for keeping this city running during that lot of rain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I will pass it on to staff.
Wonderful. That's all I've got. City Council, anything from you, Councilor Youngman?
No, thank you for the extreme dewatering efforts.
Council, what's your?
No,
All right, great. Councilor Steinmore.
I don't have any.
Councilor Zadi.
Really.
Great. Let's just keep moving on because it's late. City Administrator, wait, your report out.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll keep my update kind of brief. With December closing, that's when I do kind of a hard look at where we're at on our budget to actuals. And looking at where we're at, revenues are projected. I also worked on a straight line projection about where we're gonna be at by the end of the fiscal year, if things keep trending the way that they are. Our revenue is gonna come in at about $170,000 less than budgeted. Part of that, 25,000 of that is, property taxes coming in lower than anticipated. There are some appeals that have happened that, I did not account for because I didn't know they were gonna happen. And then additionally, our franchise fees are coming in much slower. So I am working with those companies to figure out what's going on. PGE is our big one, and that one should be coming in no later than March. But some of our others are lagging. So I am keeping an eye on that. Our expenditures are increasing. So a couple things, primarily, we're looking at personnel services and benefits. So personnel services, we're just trending higher. Even though we have eliminated a position, the administration is doing fine. But in some of the other areas, and I'll say police in particular, this impacts our benefits. So what I had originally budgeted, there were different people in those positions. The people that have left and now the people that have replaced them, benefits are more because they're families. And so there's higher benefit rates. So those types of things are impacting our budget. Additionally, when CIS gave us our benefit rates, so they give them to us every February. But we actually don't get the true rate until after our budget's already adopted. And it was significantly higher than what they said in that February timeframe. So benefits are creeping up on us. There are some other things that I'm working with staff on. How do we mitigate these costs moving forward to make sure that we stay within our appropriated budgets in each area? So in particular, Public Works overall in all of their funds, water is actually doing pretty good. But sewer has had some significant costs just because of certain infrastructure failures that the public works superintendent and staff have been working on. I'm waiting to see what's gonna happen with the rate increase that, is implemented this month. And hopefully that'll stabilize some of the revenue and offset the deficit with the expenditures. So I'll be monitoring that, but I'm also gonna be working with the leadership team to identify a funding strategy moving forward. What other expenditures are they projecting that aren't in my straight line projections through the end of the year? And then come up with a strategy. We will have to be moving some funds around within the general fund and the different program areas. So right now, like court is projected to be over budget. The judge is increasing her rate. She's actually doubling it now that we've taken on Aurora. So I need to adjust for that. So there will be some things in February that I'll bring forward, and then another supplemental budget in March to kind of true things up so we can get through the end of the year. So I want to kind of convey some confidence that staff's working on it, and we're going to come up with a solution to make sure that we come in within budget. So.
Right. A few things I'd throw in there as well. We did bring on Aurora, so we will have, I hate to use the term, but another revenue stream coming in from court citations there. It'd be very interesting to see over the next couple of months what that actually trends to be. You know, I don't want to see them as a revenue source, but obviously people are going to be speeding through the city and they're going to get cited. So there'll be some revenue coming in there. Also, on page 3, I think it's page 3 of your report, you do list the areas that you see as risk or at risk. And I know you and I have had conversations about it as well. We have one department, we definitely got to try to clamp down on some overtime. And I know you're actively working with that department. So, obviously the sewer, we can't necessarily, we have to keep that going. We can do on that. It's a crappy job. It's that.
That's okay. We do that all the time, Mr. Mayor. Sergeant.
But outside of that, I want to convey at least what I've gotten through my interactions with the city staff or council, at least is, I do know they're actively working on this. I would want to make sure that counselors be very mindful as these reports come out. If you see something that is troubling to you, something that you think needs to be brought to our attention, don't wait, bring it up. You know, the good thing is I do read our revenue trends are stable. That means we don't have a revenue issue necessarily as much as we have a spending issue. Not to sound like a Republican or a Democrat there, I don't know which side's always saying that. But yeah, we just need to get our spending a bit under control. I don't think we'll get there.
We do have a spending freeze on right now, so anything that's $1,000 or more has to have my approval. So.
Yeah, I see you looking at someone, but either way. Yes. So this is the time with budgets, right? We gotta really ask ourselves, is it really a must-have or a nice-to-have? If it's a nice-to-have, it needs to wait. If it's a must-have, then obviously we need to move forward. If something is critical, et cetera, obviously we need to move forward. Fuel for the generators, we need to ensure that's there. I've talked with many residents already that either we're gonna have a great winter that's gonna be nice and mild, or we're gonna have one heck of a February coming our way. So again, we need to plan for the worst, hope for the best, but in this case, let's assume that, yeah, we're gonna have some pretty heavy hits on public works again come February with the snow and the ice that typically come during that month. So questions that we might have, at least on the budget. Do you have any additional report outside of that you want to bring up?
Just one other thing, I wanted to update council on where we're at with Metcom and dispatch services. So notification went out on December 31st to Metcom and all the participating agencies that the city of Hubbard is intending to terminate the IGA. With Metcom for dispatch services, there have been several meetings that have happened with Office of Emergency Management and Metcom. There was a Metcom board meeting today. They're taking some sort of vote this week, which I don't know what the vote is really about. And conversations with our city attorney, they can't vote to stop us from terminating the IGA with them. The only thing that they have a right to vote on is the jurisdictional plans that Metcom and Newcom come up with. So, there's been some rumor mill going around that, they're talking lawsuit, which is not allowable under our IGA, so I don't know who they're suing. But anyway, the worst thing that could happen is that we would end up in an arbitration. So I have asked, Chief Parisi to contact the executive director of Metcom to get me the minutes from the meeting today. And I am in contact with our city attorney, so I will keep you posted, as to what this vote is about.
Yeah. From what I can tell, we have done everything within what we need to do legally. We are in our rights from the IGA. We are doing this move for fiscal reasons. We need to ensure that there's cost savings from moving. That's why we're doing it. At the same time, there's unpredictable fees coming from Metcom that we cannot budget for, we cannot forecast for. And again, when we're just literally talked about our budget, we do have to mind every I or every dollar that we're spending. And in this case, we just went with the best option for the city fiscally. So, it's just, it's to me disheartening that we're having issues with another agency on this one. So, thank you. I know you're doing well. And I know Movies in the Park, you are getting some suggestions as well on movies. So if anyone here has suggestions on a G or a PG movie that doesn't have a death in it, because Sean's horrible about picking movies that doesn't have something dying in it.
Very true.
Yeah, you got one hand on. Just one is not Old Yeller. I already tried Finding Nemo. The freaking mom dies.
God, you missed.
The horse dies in the never ending story. I mean, Jumanji was scary. So either way, if you have suggestions, give them to Sean. We are getting feedback from the public though, so that's fantastic. I do have one question before you move on though. The water increase does take effect this month. Bills have shown up. I've seen it with my own. Have you had any feedback coming in?
So initially I had some feedback, before it even went out on the bill because we did have the notification. And just explaining to them that we haven't raised rates in so long, and just keeping up with the infrastructure costs. Actually, I think what helped is the city seeing new pipes going in and new infrastructure happening that, okay, you're using our money for something that's actually improving the quality.
Perception.
Yeah.
Goes back to perception. You're right. People want to see their money going to something. For their parks, they want to see grass mowed and equipment maintained. For sewer, they want their toilets to flush and hopefully not backflow into their basement. Yes. Either way, thank you. If anyone has any additional questions that you feel need to be addressed by me, feel free to forward them to me. I'd be more than happy to talk to any resident that wants to talk. I mean, we've done the best we can over the last 6 months to be as transparent and open in what we're doing. So, all right, we'll move on then. If there's no other questions for, actually, I'm gonna go around, Counselor Yonley, any questions for Mr. Witt?
No, it's not real significant, but I had noticed miscellaneous revenue admin was 12,735.4% over. Small numbers, but.
I know, so, we got a tax refund check from, the IRS for tax year 2024. And so that's a placeholder until I do the journal entry to, disperse it against all operating funds, but yeah, it's a tax refund.
It's not huge dollar amounts, but $3,851, so.
Yeah.
I noticed the percentages kind of jumped off the page out there.
Well, we have them there, an indicator, yeah.
And, yeah, it was the vehicle impoundment, 100% community development program, expense 148% above that. So I just, a couple of things that jumped out at me, that 12,000, what? Okay, that's all I had for this.
Okay, Counselor Bishop?
Yeah, so with regard to the franchise fees, I think we've talked about that a few different times throughout the last year. And, you know, obviously I've not seen the contract between the city and these companies. Excuse me, is there any, enforcement mechanism or late fees or anything like that that apply when they don't pay on time?
Yeah, so, most of them do end up paying on time. The one that was a red flag for me was Comcast. And come to find out, it's how they define broadband versus cable.
Hmm,
And so there's not a lot of cable
right,
that is, so our franchise fee went significantly down just because of terminology. The rest of them, there is a penalty that they have to pay, but eventually by the end of the fiscal year, we kind of get there. So I just start calling them and harassing them a little bit.
is that so is that something maybe we need to look at, in the future, since broadband is not cable?
Mhm.
You know, changing the terminology in the contract to where it does apply.
So actually, I would like to redo all of our franchise contracts. I say that because none of them have any language that says if they damage something in the right of way when they're putting in their lines or whatever, they're liable. So for example, we ran into an issue with a community member. They damaged, their water line, right?
Waste line, I thought.
Oh,
Yeah, one of their main lines, and it was a $6,000 repair, and Comcast didn't have to do anything.
yeah,
So I want to change that kind of language in all of our
for
franchises.
sure. I know when they were installing in our cul-de-sac, they cut the power to the street light. And it was, I don't know, 8, 9 months till it got repaired. It was crazy, it was dark.
Yeah.
And then my other question was about the judge increasing the fee, doubling
Mhm.
for adding
Yeah,
a town
so,
of 900 people.
yeah, I had a conversation with her about that. So she has not increased her fee when we took on Donald. She has increased her fee just by $30 a court session a couple of years ago. So the increase hasn't been gradual, but the tipping point was now that you've brought on Aurora, I've got to catch up to where all the other judges are getting paid.
Is that fee tied into the amount of the citation that whatever?
No.
Okay.
Do you want me to, think I can say something for that? We have noticed since Aurora has come on, our courts are going to go a lot longer.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm looking at, I told Sean, I said we may end up going over, because we try to have about 70 and maybe half show up. We're gonna have to increase that to 90 to 100 to get through our courts. I don't wanna add courts because of she pays, it's a one fee, for a court, so I'd rather have it go long. Because then it
Right,
doesn't
then adding
increase it.
extras, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Makes
So
sense, yeah.
we could possibly be going into, possible evening hours with our courts if we start a plan.
Just thinking about ways to offset that cost. I mean, I don't know how that world works when you get a speeding ticket, how much the fee is or whatever. But I don't know if there's a way we can kind of work that in there somehow, legally.
Well,
Just a
and part
thought.
of it, so one of the things that staff does is they work really hard to keep people out of court. So they'll
Sure.
try to do diversion and other things so that they're not even going to court. So there's that piece of it. I believe citation fines are set, are they? Yeah.
Okay.
So having to like add an admin fee, I don't think we can do that. We could on our side when we're actually collecting.
Which we have, what we have is called fix-it tickets, like, an example is someone gets pulled over for not having a registration. Well, if they go get the registration, then they can come right to the window, and then instead of paying $115, they prove they have it, we charge them 50. Well, we just upped that last year because they were only doing, it was only $40. So we did increase that last year by $10. And that money, then it's more a fee, so it doesn't go to the state, it doesn't go to the county, it goes right to the city. And we try really hard to get people in compliance,
Right.
that type of thing. And our diversion's the same way. If they're eligible for diversion, it used to be the judge can do it, she's gave me the power to look at records and say, okay, we can do this, and stuff, and there again, it's just to try to the money doesn't go, it comes to us.
Right,
So we try really hard to,
yeah.
you know,
Nice.
do what we can to get people in compliance.
Right. Well, that's all I had.
Your questions, Counselor Steiner?
No, just on that, you ever have a chance to come watch court? It's actually really cool to see how the judge does work with everybody. I highly recommend it. Just being able to see the way that we're able to help the citizens get things in compliance.
Mhm.
And then that also the benefit to the city, because then all the money goes to the city. So I really like the way our judge works, and if she's basically just trying to get caught up, and she's been giving us a great deal for so long, like, can't really alter for adjusting rates, everything going up. It's true. But yeah, no, I appreciate the way they do work, and our judge is really cool, so I'm happy to keep her. Cool judge. Thanks.
No advice, if you're gonna come visit court, walk up, don't try to drive up parking space.
Oh, It's definitely walking.
Okay, Counselor Zani?
Yeah, I have no questions, just comment. I know it's gonna be probably pretty rough here budgeting wise, and I want to say thank you for being so diligent, looking it over and seeing every way you can help this city save some money and make some money. Thank you, your staff, very much.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, let's move on to police department. Chief Priest?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good evening to you all. Happy New Year. December was a great month. Just wanted to update you that Officer Bob's training is progressing really well. He'll be starting phase 3 any moment now. And he's just excited to be here and really neat to see how he's kind of catapulted himself through the training and stuff. Things are really starting to click and whatnot. So we're really excited to have him. As far as hiring goes, the 7th officer has completed medical eval as of today. So the last thing that's left there is the psychological evaluation, which is still in the process of being scheduled by our provider and whatnot. So hope to have that scheduled, I hope sometime this week or next or whatnot, and hopefully gonna stay on track for a February 1 hire date, hopefully. So December was great. We participated in several different community events. You know, along with the fire department, as mentioned, with the tree lighting ceremony for the first time at Rivenus Park. That was excellent turnout. Had a lot of fun there, and then went to the fire department for cookies and the Santa sing-alongs and all that good stuff too. Our staff also participated with Shop with the Cop program, which is a great event. We had 2 different Shop with the Cop events locally here in Woodburn at the Walmart that Woodburn PD invited us to. And so we were excited to participate there with Woodburn PD and the fire department as well. And then the big one every year annually is hosted by Believe in Your Community, which is a nonprofit. And they host that in Kaiser Station at the Target there. And so we had a representative go there and participate in that as well. They had served, I think it was 900 kids at that location there in Kaiser. So it was really a record number this year and stuff. So they called for all hands on deck for you know, public safety personnel, if you will, from police officers to parole probation to corrections to federal level like FBI, Forest Service. Really all hands on deck come to assist at that event, which is just a great time. So, and then we also had some training too over the month of December. Officer Bob went to a couple different things, and I also just wanted to note too, Officer Bob actually had a really great drawing or example for the new shoulder patch for the Hubbard Donald Aurora partnership there. And that's went to the professionals at the vendor that we use. And they've already shown us a rendering of that, and it actually looks really, really good and whatnot. So, and then also with the decals on the cars to just kind of update there to include Aurora. Hopefully that stuff will be done by the end of this month and whatnot as well. So with that pretty much concludes the update for December.
How have the citizens, I mean, I've read it online, but how is the Aurora engagement going?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's been awesome. It's been I just can't say enough good things about it. We've been out on foot doing foot patrols. We've been connecting with the antique district and other just community members, residences, businesses, things of that nature. We've met a lot of the commuter traffic as well and tried to help.
Encouraging of abiding by the law.
Yeah, exactly, right, yeah. Yep, we have been introducing ourselves to them as well and establishing really effective partnerships there, I hope. And but no, it's been great. We've been they like our schedule as well, which is a little bit different and unique to what they saw before. Not saying that what was done before was bad or anything like that. It's just different, and they really seem excited by that also. And so we got some good feedback from them regarding that also. And so yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been neat. And
Anyone who
to
gets
see-
pulled over yet asking what's Hubbard doing here?
You know, not that I've experienced. I haven't heard anything from the troops, but yeah, everybody's just been so happy to have us there. We were actually able to help assist with a real nuisance of an abandoned vehicle that had been in the city of Aurora for several months. It had moved from one location to another, and it was just clearly abandoned. And Officer Bob did a great job on working through that, trying to really identify who the registered owner was. But that's still kind of a mystery. So it was tagged and then eventually towed. And I think folks are happy about that as well. It's kind of like that broken window theory with respect to the abandoned vehicle. So that concern's been moved from there too. So yeah.
Okay, questions for Chief Parisi? We'll start with Councilor Zod.
No questions, quick comment. I did a lot of driving around last month and I noticed our police cars in Donald and over here on 99. And I really appreciate 99 because that particular spot has been the site of some bad things. So I know most people don't want to see a police car sitting by the side of the road. I love it. I think it's great. I think anything we do to keep our people safe is super important. So thank you and all the other officers.
Thank you.
Councilor Steiner.
Yeah, I don't know how much we can really say, but I just appreciate that we pull over everybody for the violations. So that's all.
I just was,
For violation.
watched an officer doing his due diligence there in Aurora, it was last Sunday. And, only comment I have is that when you're going north of 99, it's real easy to, as you're going down that hill, speed up a little bit. And, for the longest time, Aurora had the great notoriety across the state, I will say, of being a speed trap because of that slope. So hopefully the citizens of Aurora and the council of Aurora understand, that you guys are doing your job. But I hope it doesn't become another speed. No, I mean, literally there was people in the Klamath Falls that would talk to me about Aurora's speed trap.
Well, Harvard's got their own area, right down by Public Works. There's a downslope there too that everyone's like, I'm always accelerating.
That's sit there a little more. There.
Okay, Councilor Michelle.
No, I don't, but thank you.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
wonderful. I don't have any additional, besides, I do appreciate Officer Morales, who did a great job when my niece had the accident. Do we have any update on actually when that's gonna get fixed, though?
Oh, this is
fencing?
the.
Yeah, I guess we'll move on.
Okay, I'll-
Fencing, we're out here.
I will start with that, Mr. Mayor. The, Outdoor Fence Company, which is the folks that actually, put that fence in originally. I asked for 4 bids and they were the lowest bid, and they were contacted today. Our insurance carrier has been contacted and we are proceeding with getting that, cleaned up and repaired.
Yeah, just trying to stay ahead, because I'm sure it won't be too much longer before we start seeing people ask, why does it still look all damaged and messed up?
Right,
So,
exactly.
and I know
So
we can't do anything about the tree, but I think the tree's okay.
I think the tree will probably survive.
Yeah.
So, I will start, this is not on report, but the Comcast, the damage that they have caused in the past. When I first got here, one of the things I did is I looked at all your ordinances and I found the communications ordinance. And a couple different things. One, we have been charging $45 a permit, which is fine. I think that's reasonable for residents. But in the communications ordinance, it's $100. And we've been only charging 45 for the commercial folks. So that's been changed. The second part, so now we're receiving $100 instead of 45. The second part of that is that in that same ordinance it's now referenced in the permit. So if any damage does occur by that permit, you are liable for the damage. So I closed the loophole, in other words. And I wanted to mention that since it was brought up this evening that we're collecting more money and we're also making sure that if they do cause damage to our infrastructure, that they pay for it.
Or residents' infrastructure.
Yes, and residents, that's
Right,
specifically,
in this
yes.
case, the one case we're talking about, the Bowman's on,
Right,
Oak
right, so
Street.
they're
Oak
boring
Street.
underneath the street and they
Yeah.
damage something, it's on them and it's now in the permit referencing our construction standards as well as the ordinance.
Perfect.
So I had not mentioned that as well. One of my many things I do in my reviews of everything is, even this report, there's always lots going on. There's always a finger in the dike someplace that we're trying to make sure that we have enough fingers to take care of it. Big items, the Riveters Park, we got our first boxes coming in for that. We met with the contractor. One of the recommendations was to kind of improve our drainage a little bit, which you see the little maniacs out there doing that. We're almost done with that. Pablo, the construction company, is ready to go for his part of it. We're expecting the equipment within the next 7 to 10 days. To be
Fantastic, and you're gonna stage it at the park. and
Yes,
The nice thing about that is residents will see it.
they
It's
will.
right there, it's not a question, will anything ever go back in there again?
Right, and the perception is reality, as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, and that's exactly correct. We're out there, we're doing things. And I think that how it's been staged does show progress in making that occur. So I'm pleased, staff are doing a great job, so it's a very tickled to see the final product actually in place.
And I know it's gonna go quick in the sense, I read your report. Now, and this is an expense I'm asking if we can probably do, but is there a possibility to get a large printout of a rendering of what it's gonna look like to start getting people excited about what's coming?
I would love to do that. Let's
You know,
let's
we
see,
could
let's
just
see if we can find
Post
some.
it either by it or around it or something, I mean, everyone's asking me, what's it gonna look like? I'm like, it's gonna look great, I think.
We have it, we actually have a 11 by 16. And I believe we have the capability of making that much larger.
Yeah, it'd be a little bigger than
Larger
a,
we have.
yeah.
Exactly, we did put smaller ones up around, but now that the construction fence is up, that is
People are seeing
missing
it.
now.
Yeah,
It'd be nice to have a project thing on there for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and then even if you could put a rendering and just say, coming March,
Right,
quite honestly, that's what we're talking about.
that's what we're talking about,
dedication in
spring
March,
spring
so.
break, nice and warm. And a nice presentation and a ribbon cutting.
Thursday, spring though. You don't wanna say March.
Yeah,
Spring.
that's great. He's been in government too long already. Set the deadline. All I'm trying to do there though is, I do see kids up there and I know a lot of parents, they even in the rain would go up there with their kids. And they know it's coming. But anything we can do to, build that excitement around, this is a big thing.
It is a
Going
big
in there,
I
so.
agree, we'll find a way of making it, increase the excitement.
Yeah, as long as it's within budget realms of what Administrator Wake wants. I'm not,
Yes.
she's got the reins.
My smile is because if it's any significant expense, I get to go to the city administrator. Going down the list of things that are significant under wastewater, it says the water equipment is about to arrive, it has arrived, and not only has it arrived, but the contractor's actually put it in place and is now connecting it and getting it ready. They anticipate having commissioning next week. And so we'll get trained on it and it will be in operation. So it went from, we're waiting for it to in place. So that's very exciting. Now that the rain has kind of fallen off, potholes are coming back into repair. We have quite a few of them, as you are well aware. G and 99, I needed to update a traffic plan. Other than that, it should be a very quick fix for that. A big item is a safety walkthrough has been scheduled in our team. This is going through each and every area of our city as a team and identifying the PPE and other safety issues and things that have to be worn, observed, taken care of. This is not done in the past, but it's been done. We understand OSHA requires this, but we're doing the full walkthrough. So that's huge. City Administrator Waite talked about the SCA grant. We are looking at that as a proposed item, the F Street between 3rd and 4th. That's even worse than what it was before the rains at this point. It's pretty visible. I don't think there is a street actually.
Yeah. Bad. Councilor Steininger was on my porch the other day as we watched cars hit that pothole.
It's bad. And this is exactly what the SCA grant would fund. This is that criteria. So this is a really nice one. It's about $330,000 for about 330 feet of 60-foot wide easement, sidewalk, gutter, storm, full sub base, all that. So they would pay about 250,000 of that. We would pay 75,000. Great deal. Street construction is not inexpensive, but this would really make a nice street, and it's in the city's core economic and zone. So I think that would be a very nice addition to get that fixed. Last, and this is something I just put on here because a few months ago, a company called Everest called me up and said, hey, we'd like to buy your leases for your cell towers. And so after some delay, got back to them. One of their offers is to buy the cell leases for $425,000. If you look at the net present value of that money versus what we would get in leases, plus the discount rates we might expect from LGIP, it would be a significant addition to our budget. But right now, what I've done is I've sent out the copies of our leases to them, which they'll analyze and come back with some final number. When they do, I'll sit down with City Administrator Waite, and then if seems reasonable, make a presentation to you with the net present value numbers and how this works out from a financial viewpoint to the city.
Wonderful. Is there any risk if we do that on the star lighting or anything else? I mean, for the leases, I don't know if this is on the.
Yes, it is. It's actually on the T-Mobile lease. It's actually from the original 1990 whatever lease on there. They're responsible for lighting the star. However, having said that, they would take all the existing conditions of those leases and carry it forward.
Okay.
All they do is basically purchase the lease, and then of course, if they want more things, you know, they get an added value to it with any increases in carrier costs and that type of thing, which they would know how to get more revenue stream from.
Right. Okay, I'll look forward to hearing that update. So I know we're running late, but any questions for Public Works? Councilor Young?
I'm done, thank you.
Good. Councilor Michelle?
No, but it is so nice to see Public Works moving in a positive direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, can't second that, third that, or fourth that enough. Yes. Councilor Spanier?
I don't have it.
Councilor Zadi?
No questions, quick comment. Those rains, that Pudding River looked a little scary. I was waiting for a different report. We've had that quite a bit. But it's so nice to hear that you had it totally under control.
Yeah, I stayed that night in Woodburn. I wasn't gonna hit I-5 regardless, but
Thank you so much, because it's happening fast.
thank you.
Yeah, I remember I
You and your staff.
drove down to the senior estates or whatever it was, where that was deep water. But I'm like, oh, but they're pretty high up. It's kind of a liar. It was pretty deep over there. All right, with that, let's move on to consent agenda. Approval of city council minutes, meeting minutes, December 2nd, 2025, special city council meeting, December 9th, 2025, city council meeting. B, approval of the December 2025 check register report. C, resolution number 8372026, a resolution repealing resolution number 7732024 to rename the public safety fee as the public police services fee.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as read.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Consent agenda carries. Any other city business to the councilors? I'm gonna hold silence is good. Next one is, cut his mic off. Next one is adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone that wants to stay here, stay here. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all. Appreciate you all too. I know this was a long time.